There are mornings when you catch your reflection, and the change is undeniable. Your hair feels thinner, lighter, and somehow emptier. Maybe there's a patch at the crown you never noticed before. Maybe you've stopped pulling your hair up, stopped blow drying with lift, because you're afraid of what it might reveal. And every time you brush it, you pause, wondering, how much more today? They say thinning hair is just something to accept after 60. But how do you accept it when it changes the way you see yourself? How you walk into a room, how you feel during brunch with friends. But let me be clear, this isn't a sad story. In fact, you're about to be proven so wrong. Because thinning hair doesn't mean less beauty. It just means different choices, smarter, softer, more thoughtful ones. In this video, I'll walk you through 4 transformative haircuts that make thin hair look full, youthful, and radiant again. Not with expensive treatments, not with illusions, but with the right cut that honors the hair you do have. So stay with me until the end. And if you're ready for a fresh start, hit subscribe and tap the bell because your next chapter begins now. 1. Volume Maximizer Bob. When every strand comes back into focus. I met Nancy on a quiet May afternoon. She was 68, a retired elementary school teacher with kind brown eyes and a smile that once reminded me of late sunshine flickering through the trees. But that day, she wasn't smiling. She sat in my chair gently, almost apologetically. I feel like I've faded, she whispered. It's like someone turned down the resolution on me, and my hair was the first place I noticed it. Nancy once had thick, shoulder blade length hair, the kind you twist up easily, clip in place, and don't think twice about. She wore it up every day when she was teaching strong, neat, practical. Now, years into retirement, it had thinned out. Around her part, the strands were scattered. The crown was barely holding shape. It wasn't just the way others looked at her that changed, it was how she saw herself. And that, more than anything, broke her confidence. Here's the thing about thinning hair. It doesn't mean your beauty is fading. It simply means your hair is telling you it needs something different, not less style, just smarter style. For Nancy, I suggested a chin-length blunt bob, what I call the volume maximizer bob. It's deceptively simple but incredibly effective for fine, aging hair. Here's the science behind it. When every strand ends at the same point with no excessive layering or soft tapering, the hair creates a visual wall. That density, that singular edge, gives the illusion of much thicker, fuller hair. It's not magic. It's geometry. I kept Nancy's cut right at the jawline, not shorter, not longer. That's the sweet spot. Any longer, and the ends start to collapse. Any shorter, and you lose the frame that balances the face. With this precise length, we created fullness right where her structure needed it most, around the lower face, adding soft weight that redirected attention away from her thinning crown. The trick? I added invisible interior layering not to remove volume, but to encourage shape. This allowed the outer edge of her hair to remain blunt and strong while giving the hair natural movement underneath. It wasn't about hiding thinning areas. It was about controlling the eye, guiding it softly toward what was most beautiful. We followed with styling. A volumizing mousse applied while damp, focused at the roots. I used a medium round brush to blow dry under, curving the ends inward toward her chin. But here's where it really makes a difference. I lifted at the crown while drying, adding gentle volume from the base without exposing the scalp. To finish, I added a touch of highlight, just 1 or 2 shades lighter than her natural silver brown, subtly placed near the temples. These low-contrast ribbons of brightness catch the light without exaggerating scalp visibility. They don't scream, but they shimmer, and that's what we want. Dimension without distraction. When I turned the chair, Nancy stayed quiet. For a moment, I thought she didn't like it. She reached up, slowly brushing her fingers along the new edge, feeling the soft curve that framed her face again. I thought it would take years to feel like myself again, she said, finally. And then she smiled. This isn't a style you get to impress anyone else. It's the kind you choose when you're ready to look in the mirror and see yourself clearly, confidently, and with a quiet kind of power. It's low maintenance, but high impact. With regular trims every 6 weeks to keep the perimeter clean and strong, this cut holds its shape, even as it grows slightly softer. And it only gets better with time. If your hair feels like it's disappearing, this bob might just be your way of bringing it and yourself back into focus. If you've struggled with thinning around your part, at the crown, or just overall loss of volume, tell me in the comments. What's your biggest challenge when styling thinning hair? I read every message, and it helps guide content just for you. And if this first cut has you thinking, maybe it's not too late to feel good again, then wait until you see what's next. Our next style, it doesn't just create volume, it knows how to camouflage thinning in all the right places. You'll want to see this. So keep watching and don't forget to give this video a like if you feel even a little bit more hopeful right now. R. Strategic camouflage cut. I'm not trying to hide, I just want to feel softer again. Not every woman loses her hair the same way. For Donna, it wasn't sudden. It crept in slowly, first along her temples, then her part began to widen, and before she knew it, the crown of her head became something she tried to avoid seeing in mirrors under overhead light. She was 64, a former textile designer who had always been attuned to details. Fabrics, seams, light, and flow. So when it came to her hair, she saw everything, especially what was missing. I hate group lunches, she admitted quietly as we began the consultation. The lights in cafes, it's like they erase my hair entirely. That's the moment I knew Donna didn't want to hide. She wanted to redirect. For women experiencing uneven thinning, whether it's the temples, crown, or a receding hairline, it's not about covering. It's about designing movement that leads the eye to where the beauty still lives. We created what I call the strategic camouflage cut, a deeply intentional style that's less about concealment and more about compassionate design. Here's how we approached it. I used invisible layering, a cutting technique that removes bulk from the inside of the hair, not the outside. This allows the outer perimeter, the visible frame, to remain thick and full, while the inner layers create soft shape and volume. For the thinning crown, we added longer layers that began just below the area of concern and gently fell forward. These layers acted like a whisper light veil, not heavy, not forced, just enough to create softness over the scalp without the weight of blunt coverage. It's like fabric draping over the shoulder instead of hugging it tightly, light, graceful, forgiving. Donna's face shape invited a subtle side-swept bang, curved to hug her cheekbone and draw attention to her eyes, a soft teal blue that deserved the spotlight far more than the top of her head. This bang also helped diffuse the eye away from the part line, which had thinned noticeably. For her temples, where the hair had become patchy, we cut face-framing pieces that curved gently inward. These shorter front sections created delicate shadows, softening the hairline without making it feel artificial or forced. We never pulled the hair back tightly from those areas. Instead, we let the strands fall forward, like a painter letting their brushstrokes trail with intention. And yes, we addressed color, too. We added a few strategically placed low-contrast highlights, no more than one shade brighter than her natural silver brown. These weren't bold streaks, but delicate shifts in tone that added dimension without distraction. When hair is thinning, the last thing you want is high-contrast highlights that exaggerate bare areas. Soft blends create the illusion of density and light play. Styling was just as thoughtful. We used a root-lifting spray where Donna needed extra support around her crown and temples, and a texturizing cream through the ends for grip and separation. A diffuser on low heat helped encourage natural movement without disturbing the shape. For day-to-day maintenance, a colored dry shampoo matched to her base tone gave both volume and visual fullness between washes. A month later, Donna returned, this time with a little more spring in her step. She had brunch with her college friends the weekend before, and as she told it, one of them leaned in and said, "I don't know what's different, but you look like you just woke up from the best nap of your life." She laughed as she told me this. Not because it was funny, but because it felt true. That's what this cut does. It doesn't try to erase age or disguise loss. It simply softens the eye. It leads the attention where you want it to go with grace, intention, and just enough flair. If your crown is thinning or your hairline is changing, have you found a style that makes you feel comfortable again? Let me know in the comments. Your experience helps other women feel less alone, and your story might be the one that helps someone else start fresh. And if this second cut spoke to something personal in you, stay close because the next one. It's not just about looking fuller, it's about looking younger without chasing youth. I can't wait to show you what's next. Sen, age reversal cut. I'm not trying to look younger. I just want to see that light in my eyes again. So many women have sat in my chair and said the same thing, almost word for word. I don't want to look 30 again. I just want to look less tired. That line always stops me in my tracks. Because it's not about wrinkles or age spots or even the hair that's gone. It's about how the light no longer knows where to land. It's about features that feel heavier, hair that no longer lifts the face, and a reflection that feels just a bit more weighed down than the woman inside. That's where Brenda's story begins. She was 67, a retired nurse with soft gray-blue eyes and shoulder-length hair that had thinned over time. Her strands were still long, falling past her shoulders, but they had lost their energy. The shape dragged her face downward, highlighting the hollow points instead of lifting the radiance. There was no movement, no light, just flatness. I don't hate my hair, she told me, but I miss how it used to brighten me. You know? I want to see that again. So we didn't go short. We went smart. I suggested what I call the age reversal cut, a length that honors your femininity, keeps softness and grace, but uses structure and elevation to open up the face. The foundation was key. We cut the hair to rest just at the collarbone. This length is gentle. It allows the hair to still move, to tuck behind the ear, to frame the neck, but it's short enough to avoid dragging the features downward. Then came the layers. Not haphazard, not choppy, but graduated layers starting around ear level, lifting the mid-face, and cascading downward with a subtle upward tilt. Think of it like a gentle frame, one that doesn't box you in, but guides the light back to the places that matter. The layers around Brenda's face were sculpted to fall just beneath her cheekbones, and again at the jawline, 2 points that naturally lose definition with age. The goal was simple: bring light to the places where time had drawn shadows. We added side-swept bangs, soft and feathered, falling diagonally to gently conceal forehead lines while drawing the eye toward her eyes. But the cut was only half of it. The color was just as crucial. Brenda's hair had dulled to a cool gray over the years. I warmed her base just slightly, not enough to change who she was, but enough to infuse life. Then, we added a few sunlit highlights around her face, no thicker than a thread. These weren't meant to be seen as highlights. They were designed to mimic the way light used to naturally catch in her hair when she was younger. Think of it as turning up the warmth in a photograph. Everything stays the same, just clearer, softer, more alive. Styling, simple. A lightweight mousse at the roots to create foundation lift, then a round brush to blow dry upward and outward, never flat to the face. This technique ensures the layers bloom rather than collapse. We sealed it with a flexible hold hairspray, not for stiffness, but to hold the airiness of the shape throughout the day. When Brenda looked in the mirror, she didn't say, "I look younger." She said something far more meaningful. "I look like someone who's finally being kind to herself." And that's what this cut is for. It's not about turning back time, it's about lifting what's beautiful. It's about letting softness take the place of tiredness. And it's about seeing yourself again, clearly, the way you deserve to. Have you ever felt like your hair was weighing your face down instead of lifting it up? I'd love to hear your story in the comments, and if this cut speaks to you, drop a emoji. You never know who needs to see that hope from someone just like them. And if this style reminded you that it's never too late to feel beautiful in your own way, just wait. Our next cut is something special. Not just a transformation for your hair, but a restoration of confidence that stays with you, even on days you don't try. Keep watching. 4. Confidence Restoration Cut. The haircut that isn't trying to do anything except make you feel like enough. Some haircuts are made to impress. Others are made to restore. Elaine, 70 years old, a mother of 3 grown children and a woman who never needed attention to feel valuable, came to me with a request that was so honest, it nearly made me pause mid-consultation. "I don't need a makeover," she said. "I just need a haircut that won't betray me." She wasn't looking for drama. She wasn't chasing volume or youth or compliments. What she wanted was stability, a haircut that felt as consistent and grounded as the woman she'd become. Something that worked with her hair, not against it. Something that gave her permission to stop trying so hard. So I offered her what I call the confidence restoration cut, a cut that doesn't need applause, but quietly earns your trust. We started with structure, a solid perimeter, cut to sit just below the jawline, strong enough to create a sense of shape, but soft enough to feel lived in. There were no dramatic chops or razor-thin edges here. The foundation was about presence, a gentle yet defined outline that held everything together. From there, I built in natural, seamless layers, not heavy, not exaggerated, just enough to give the hair movement when she walked, or when the breeze caught a strand near her cheek. These layers weren't meant to transform anything. They were meant to follow her face, to skim the cheekbones, soften the jawline, and guide the light back to her features without shouting for attention. The real key? Adaptability. This cut was made to look good no matter how you style it. Elaine could blow it out with a round brush on Monday, let it air dry on Tuesday, twist it into rollers for dinner out, or simply apply a light mousse at the roots and finger comb it into place before coffee with her neighbor. No stress, no stiffness, just flow. For women with thinning or inconsistent texture, especially at the crown or around the temples, this kind of haircut gives you permission to relax. Because the movement isn't forced. It follows the hair's natural pattern, embracing things like cowlicks or uneven density and working with them, not trying to cover them up. We chose a soft, neutral base color to match Elaine's natural silver blonde and added whisper light lowlights for depth. Not to make her look younger, but to prevent the hair from looking flat under natural light. The result was subtle, the kind of richness that doesn't stand out at first, but grows more beautiful the longer you look. When we finished, Elaine tilted her head, took one long look in the mirror, and said quietly, "I didn't know it could still look like me." That's what this haircut is for. Not for compliments. Not for reinvention. But for recognition. You deserve a style that doesn't demand work every morning. That doesn't make you feel like you're fighting your own reflection. You deserve a haircut that grows out with you slowly, gracefully, never awkwardly, and reminds you, every time you pass by a mirror, that you're still here, whole, beautiful, enough. Have you ever just needed a haircut that gave you peace? A style that made mornings easier, not more complicated? If so, leave a in the comments. Tell me what you're looking for in your next cut. Because sometimes, the smallest shift in your routine can quietly change everything. And now, we've come full circle from bold volume to soft camouflage, from lifted light to quiet confidence. But before we close, I have a few thoughts I want to share with you, thoughts about beauty, age, and why thinning hair is not the end of your story. It's the beginning of a new one. Stick around for the final reflection and a gentle reminder of what you truly deserve. Every haircut you've seen in this video wasn't just a cut. It was a quiet choice, a decision to see yourself differently, with more kindness and clarity. Thinning hair isn't a sentence, it's an invitation. A gentle nudge to stop holding on to what used to be and to start embracing what truly suits you now. You don't need more hair to feel beautiful. You just need a style that tells the truth about who you are, softer, wiser, more grounded than ever. You need a shape that reflects not who you were, but who you've become. Because beauty after 60 doesn't come from hiding. It comes from knowing. So, if even one of these styles made you pause, made you smile, made you feel seen, I'd love to hear from you. Leave me a message in the comments. Your story matters. And I'll still be right here, sharing more styles that don't try to make you look younger but help you recognize the woman in the mirror, as whole, as beautiful, as enough. All over again. You're not starting over. You're simply starting fresh on your own terms.